What's up, people? I am back for another video. We are continuing on down the Phantasm road with Phantasm 2. And I gotta say, I really liked it. This one was more of, it shows what a sequel, for me, I've always said, a good sequel just needs to be a good continuation or make it bigger, and I think this one does it. It was cool seeing the tall man again. Anger Scrim kills it as the tall man, and seeing him again in this one was great because, and we actually got a bit more dialogue. I like they don't go too into his background. Some of the kills were great. The scene, and I think overall another thing I really liked was the set design because this one was almost like the tall man had taken over the whole town because all the graves were gone. And some of the new characters were great, like Liz and Alchemy, who was revealed to be part of the Tall Man. That I kind of called that, but it's whatever. But overall, it's a solid sequel. It was cool that they brought Reggie back, and I think the only weak aspect is they actually played Mike. I don't think he did that good. I think he was serviceable, but he wasn't great in some scenes. But I think he's fine in the sense, like, overall, it's still watchable. Because I think kind of go back to what I said last week, that these movies are not really about the fucking performance. It's more about, like, the atmosphere, and I think they got that right. Just the abandoned town, the, like, destroyed set pieces. It looked almost like somewhat post-apocalyptic in a way, and it worked. And I really loved how it takes place. Like, you get that scene in the beginning with Liz, and you see her connection with Mike, and then we go back to that moment from the ending of the first one, and how he survived, and all that. That was cool. And I think they did a good enough job to make it feel like you're back in the first movie, but it was still, because this was 10 years later. Overall, I really like it. I'm definitely interested to see more of these movies, because, I'm going to review the whole franchise, but it's definitely nice to watch something good after watching Jeepers Creepers 3 last night. But just in general, it was a solid continuation, so, some of the kills were great, but the one specific kills where you see the big gold sphere and it kills one of the morticians, that was brutal. Or just some of the, like, creepy set design, like the scene where it was, like, similar to the first one, where they're in that room and it, like, with those metal rod things that, like, are almost like a transporter, where they go to that world and you see, like, this creepy looking baby. That was creepy. Or the scene where they see Liz in the beginning, or, like, it was, like, in the beginning or so, and it's, like, this fake out. They find her, but it's not her, and she has, like, this fucking crazy attack. Like, some of the, like, they really did a good job with the set design in this movie. So overall, Phantasm 2 is a solid sequel. I'd heavily recommend it. So can't wait to see what more shit we get from this franchise. So I think I'm if I do a video tomorrow, I'll finally be doing that Hulk video. I don't think I'll be doing, like, a review or anything. But yeah. And then Saturday or Sunday, I will be doing my Angel discussion, so I can't wait to do that. But yeah. But let's get started on Phantasm 2. But I guess before that, I would probably give this one a 9. If I gave the first one like a 9.5, I'd give this one a 9. I think this one's overall still really good. The atmosphere is there. It's a fun ride. It's a bit more of a slow burn, especially a little bit in the beginning, but I think it gets going pretty quick, so let's get going. So the movie opens up, we meet Liz, who has, like, this almost, like, telepathic connection to Mike, she's in like this institution, and she's like, seeing like the tall man. And I thought the opening was pretty cool, where we see like there's like the shot of the tall man. Yes, this is a little bit later, but where Reggie's house burns down, you see the tall man there. It like explodes, and you see him just standing there. Sorry, that was a good shot, but so this was just like a way to get going, and I definitely like the little couple of shots in the institution. I always think institutions are like perfect, like backdrop for horror movies, just always, you know. So after that, we pretty much kind of get the movie really starts where kind of the ending of the first film leaves off, where the tall man tries to kidnap Mike, but Reggie manages to save him, and how they basically, it's just to show how they escaped. And I thought that whole scene was very well done. The music, I'm going to kind of go on about the music for a second. The music was just so good. One thing about horror, slasher, or just any other subgenre of horror, just music is always a great like atmosphere maker, and the music is perfect. And it's also its own. It doesn't just... And another thing, this movie, I really like that it didn't just like, oh, let's just do the first one again. And I'm not against slashers specifically. I'm open to like, a retelling somewhat of this first one. Oh, we're just gonna do different ways of doing the first one. But this one was, it's like they did its own thing, and the whole, I love like how they took like the moments right after. It was like right after the first one, pretty much. So Reggie manages to stop the tall man's minions from taking Mike, and they escape the house, and they explode it. So now we jump 10 years later. Mike's now 19. Even though the only thing, and I don't know, maybe I get it, this film, the original came out in 1979. He did not look, because if this is supposed to be 10 years later, he would have been 9 years old. Mike did not look 9 in that first movie. He looked like at least 13 or 14, but whatever. That's just a little, I don't know, just something I just thought of now, but it doesn't like ruin the movie or anything. So Mike's older now, after getting out of an institution because they thought he was crazy. He's still digging for graves, and pretty much now the tall man is almost taken over. I really love that. How he almost has taken over, because now the funeral, like, the graveyard's, like, completely, there's, like, no bodies left virtually. So Reggie, now a bit older, finds Mike, tries to, like, because Mike's trying to tell him about, like, the connection with the tall man, and this girl, Liz, who is, like, almost, like, asking for his help. And I really think they did it in a way, it's trippy, but it's not, like, you're fucking lost, right? To where you're confused or anything. I think it's trippy enough to where you understand what's going on. Because I think there's trippy to a point where you're just, okay, what the fuck am I watching? What is going on? They did a good job of still making you understand what's going on, but still tripping you out. So, like I mentioned, the only somewhat negative, I think they could have got a better actor for Mike, the older Mike. And I understand it's going to be a different actor because he has to be older. But I think they could have got a better actor because there's some scenes he just didn't do it for me. Even slasher movie standards. But then, like, I think towards, like, the later middle, towards the end, he definitely gets better for me. To where, I can accept it, but it's still a little... I still think you could have got a better actor, but it's whatever. So... Mike eventually is able to convince Reggie to help him, because Reggie is a little apprehensive at first. But when they get back to his house with his family in it, it explodes. Almost like, because it's like the tall man got his revenge on Reggie and Mike. And that scene was very well done. Because that's what fully convinces Reggie to help him. And they like break in like a weapons store, like a hardware store, and get like a bunch of weapons to start hunting the tall man. And basically throughout, and while this is going on, this is where we meet Liz, and her grandfather dies, and basically it's a we get like some of his, we meet some of Tall Man's morticians, and like this is where it's a bit slow. I mean, because you don't see the Tall Man for like at least 30-40 minutes after that initial opening scene. But I'm gonna jump ahead a bit now. This is where we meet Father Myers, um, who he's like a, you know, a crazy pastor, and he's our pretty much first kill of the movie. Who that night, because Liz, because Mike and Reggie are like throughout the film, they're like hunting for clues for the Tall Man. So Liz breaks into the mortuary, and this is where she meets Father Myers, who tries to help her. But this is our first kill of the movie, and Father Myers gets killed by the sphere. You know, I always love those sphere kills. Spheres are great. And the Tall Man tries to take her, but Mike ends up finding her. And while they're there, they meet this lady named Alchemy, who it's kind of obvious from the jump that she's like working for the Tall Man or is involved. But I thought it was still well done. And then they basically lay low for a bit. Like, I think this film mainly is more, I think it does still try to build the atmosphere for a sequel. Like, because it's not just a kill fest, which don't get me wrong, I love my kill fests as a slasher fan, but it's kind of nice sometimes to get it still tries to like build that slow build a bit, you know? Especially for a sequel, because that's rare. Because a lot of times sequels do just, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, obviously, but sequels do try to go bigger, but also just more focus on more action. I think they still did a nice balance. So, but the Tall Man, I'm just going to kind of jump ahead. Tall Man ends up kidnapping Liz, and Reggie and Mike have to get her back. And I thought that scene was cool, where they go into the mortuary to try to save her, and she ends up having to help, like, they all, like, have to try to take out some of his morticians, and it was kind of cool. We got to see a new sphere, the gold one, where it kills one of the, and it was actually, I think some of the scenes where you would actually see the spheres almost like vision, although that was kind of cool. But yeah, it kills a couple of his morticians, and the big one is where we saw the gold one, like, straight up. It goes like right in the back of his throat. It's fucking brutal. Like there's some I should have mentioned this scene, but earlier, where they think they found Liz, but it's like a fake out. But you see her in like, it's like this attachment behind her is like this crazy amalgamation, like attachment to her. Like, just the set design overall is so good. Like, either that, like the creepy imagery, which I'm always down for creepy imagery in horror, or in general, the set design, like the scene where they go to the house and like you see like these fucked up cars, fucked up buildings, like it's like truly almost like post-apocalyptic. Like the Tall Man is taking over almost. You know, he's taking all the bodies, and even the scene where Liz sees her grandmother, like, just overall, it's a solid sequel, like, in that sense. Like, they really put the work in, so I gotta give it to them for that. So Mike and Reggie try to save, pretty much are ready to save Liz. Liz takes out one of Tall Man's assistants by dumping him in a fire, and the others get killed by spheres. And then this is where, basically kind of similar to the original, where they find that room with those metal rods, which are actually transporters. Tall Man comes in, tries to kidnap Liz. This is Mike gets sent into to that world again, and this is where we see a quick shot of like once again set design. This creepy looking crawly, creepy thing crawls up. Very like well done set piece. But yeah, Reggie saves him, and Reggie and Mike basically help destroy, like seemingly kill the tall man, and um, everyone's celebrating, but it turns out alchemy is actually, ends up killing Reggie and the tall man. It's like kind of like similar to the first one. The tall man seemingly wins. So overall, solid sequel. I really enjoyed it. Music was great. Like it carried like horror, especially like sidebar. Like a lot of the greatest horror movies. It doesn't not even just slasher, just in general. Music is a big part of it. Exorcist, Halloween, Jaws, Nightmare on Elm Street. Music is a big part of it. And I thought the music in this one and the first one just were great. Angus Scrim killed it as a tall man. It was cool. We got a bit more dialogue from him this time around. And I like we don't go too much more into his background. You get a little bit, but just not too much. The set design was great. Just everything. The actor who played Mike, I thought he was serviceable, but he wasn't great. But I think it's like I mentioned, this movie and the first one don't feel like the acting is what makes these movies. It's about like the more atmosphere and the creepiness. I thought they did a really good job with that. The kills were great. I thought the way they defeated the tall man, by blowing it up. I thought the explosions were great. Like they actually tried. I think it was a bigger scale sequel, like what a sequel should be. So 9 out of 10. I heavily recommend it. So I hope Phantasm 3 kind of continues the trend, but I'm really enjoying this franchise. Regret not watching this earlier, but it is what it is. So tomorrow, will probably be during the day. I will be going in on the whole. I'll finally be talking about that because it's sad what they're doing with the whole, especially the whole She-Hulk too, kind of attached part of it. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow. So, but Phantasm 2 is great. So 9 out of 10, heavily recommend. So yeah, but I'm gonna get ready to peace out. Cheers. But as usual, fuck the Biden administration. Fuck Disney. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.